With NVIA, you're able to build powerful B2B and B2C databases that can be directly targeted across marketing channels, including direct mail, phone, email, and digital advertisements. Let's take a couple minutes. Let's dive in, and I'll show you how to use our builders to create a B2C and a B2B database that's absolutely going to drive the ROI you're looking for. Make sure you request a demo below with a database advisor, and they'll get you all set up with your own account. Once you log in, you're going to see that there's two categories of data that you can build. Giant Partners is a aggregator of publicly available data, hundreds of sources, and they're categorized into business and consumer databases. Let's get started by building a consumer B2C marketing database. We'll call it Siegel Construction. And we're going to call these qualified homeowners. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to select a data format. So in this case, we can select direct mail, phone, email, digital advertising. I'm just going to go ahead and select email for the sake of this demo. If you wanted to suppress data that you already have, if you wanted to suppress a separate count that you'd built with NVIA, you can select that here and suppress that file. Just a little side pitch, you can also take your existing data, upload it into NVIA, and you can append all sorts of valid addresses, phones, and emails. I'm going to zoom this in a little bit so that you can see it perfectly on screen. So then you'll notice that over here, there are no records showing. I'm going to come in and I'm going to say email. I want to do all records. Do they require a phone number? Nope, but they do require an email address. So the only thing that I have to put in to select my target range is going to be a target market. So I'm just going to go ahead and select Seattle, my hometown. We'll go King County, which is in Washington. Perfect. And you'll notice that once I put that in, this is starting to populate. So this is going to show all available records, email records that are available in King County. So there's 1,122,733 unique addresses. You'll notice that you have all sorts of ways that you can do geography. But as soon as I put in King County, you notice it showed up here in a group. There's literally hundreds of selects that you can choose from. If you want to have a little search function, you can do Command K. And you can search for whatever you want here in the search field. Or you can just go down and use the accordion. All right, so we're going to do homeowners, years in residence, and we'll do 1 and 2. So these are only people that are living in new homes. And let's say that their estimated home value is over $500K, which is going to be most houses in King County. And then lastly, let's go ahead and let's add another parameter that says that they have an income of over, we'll call it 100,000 household per year. So you'll notice that all of those show up here in this first audience group, and the databases are all showing up here at the top. Super duper powerful. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to label this group King County. And then let's say that I have one crew of guys that works in King County. I have one special offer for people living in King County. But then let's also say I have another crew of guys that runs in the Portland, Oregon metro service area. So what I can do is I can create a new group. And then you'll notice that it automatically duplicates all these. And I'm going to say that let's add another target market here. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go down to metro service area. I'm going to click Portland. There it is, Portland, Oregon. I'm going to say apply that to group 2. I'm going to apply the top one to group 1. I'll rename this Portland. There we go. I'm going to say in Portland, you have to have over 250,000 income. I'm going to apply that to Oregon. And then for estimated income 1, we're going to say 100,000. So you'll notice here in King County, I'm going to target you if you're a homeowner of 0, 1, and 2 with income over 100. And then in Oregon, you have to have over 250. You can see how this is really powerful. And what's so cool about this is it's actually showing you in real time the amount of records that are available. If I were to go in here and make this less specific, so if I said home value and I increase this to, we'll say 500, add a bunch more values up there, you'll notice that those numbers are going to adjust. super duper powerful. For example, if you wanted to know year in residence, year built, let's say you wanted to know if a person is a real estate investor, you can click this output button and this will actually output the value. I'll do active investor, bond investor, international investor as well. And then let's go ahead and let's add a couple of demographic parameters like estimated age. So I'm going to click output. You'll notice here that there are a couple of really cool features. So if you click preview right here, it's actually going to pop up a preview of the data that you're targeting. Address, email, metro service area, home value, years in residence, income, whether or not there are any of these outputs that we put in their estimated age. When you download this file, you're going to get all of those values. If you click this visualize button here, it's going to take you to another page, which takes a minute to process, but it's actually going to show you the precise breakdown of all of the different databases that are available. You can see the breakdown between the two states. You can see the value, the different home value ranges that they're in, and the years in residence. And then you can also see the amount of income that these people have, investors, et cetera, as well as their estimated age. So super duper powerful. All right, I'll click back to go to my account. So now you know how to build account. You know how to use groups. A couple other cool things that I'll show you. If you want to deduplicate these groups, you can. 2,800 emails, 2,300 postals, 979 phones, as well as 8,405 active audience members. And what that means is if you were to take this database and you were to sync it directly into your Meta account or Google account or a different ad manager account, you're actually going to be able to match these members and show ads. Make sure you set up a demo with your rep to get a custom instance of VIA set up for your business. All right, let's go over to business. So now we're in our classic builder. You can always toggle between our classic and our advanced builder. The classic builder is very similar. The difference is that you don't have groups and you have a lot less options if you're just trying to create one specific count for a specific purpose. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to say, I'll use my Seagull construction example again. You'll notice there's 170,000 B2B records available over here. I'm going to change this to one per business because I want to see a number of businesses. And then I'm not going to necessarily require phones and emails. Geography, we'll use the same two geographies. I'll do a metro service area, Portland, just like I did before. And let's say that I'm like a reseller of services to other businesses, for example. And then I'll also include a, how did I do that? County, that's right. King County, perfect. So now I've got them both in. So notice I can't put them in separate groups in the classic builder, but I can put them in the same group. So now I got 644,000 unique businesses based on these two geographies. Pretty rad. And then I can come down and I can select unique business profiles based on how much income they have, how many employees, the year they were established. I always like to get started with SIC codes. The way that you search for industries by code has very much changed since the advent and the adoption of ChatGPT. I would always recommend going into ChatGPT, telling them what your business does, and then saying what industry should I target based on code, and then it gives you the list of codes, and then you can use those here. But for the sake of this demo, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select regular construction, specialty construction, and I'm also going to select real estate, which is 65. You'll notice if you wanted to drill down, you can see all the different types of real estate. You can see both 2, 4, and 6-digit SIC codes, so very, very helpful. But we have 15, 17, 65. We got about 78,000 businesses. This is going to be a strong campaign. The next thing that I always recommend is go ahead and add in the job title. We have the ability to do exact job titles or to do like job titles. Again, I would recommend going to ChatGPT, asking specifically within an industry, what job titles should I be targeting for my product? And then you can simply just cut and paste those in here. So you can see the little short list that I did, and you'll notice that that updated. So 42,000 of those companies have one of those job titles there. If I were to come up here and say one per individual, that number is going to go up a bit, 54,000. So that's if they have both a CEO and a president, then you'd get both of them. All right, I'm going to go put that back on one per business. And then lastly, let's say if you want to add some type of income parameter. So say I only want to work with construction companies and real estate companies that do over 2.5 million in sales. So I'm going to go ahead and select those. Boom. Notice that number dropped way down. So I got about 1,400 companies that I can target. Targeting B2B data is a little bit different. You can typically match a B2B email address or a business domain to a LinkedIn profile. B2B email performs really, really well because the firewalls within companies are just fundamentally different than consumer emails. And then if you want to match business records to consumer social profiles, we have a proprietary way of doing that, which has to do with matching a consumer's mobile number to their business record. All right, so that's the B2B builder and the B2C audience builder. Very, very powerful. Again, you're going to be able to sync these databases directly into your campaigns. Do yourself a favor and fill out the form below so that you can get your own demo. We'll set you up with a custom instance of VF for your business. And then you can start building your own audiences, and you can work with your very own advisor to ensure that you're buying databases and you're building databases that are going to help your campaigns have the greatest ROI possible. Thank you. Have a great day.